Is 12:30 the morning or the afternoon?
It depends on which part of the world you're in. It's 12 p.m., isn't it?
And I've just come from Savasana, so for me it feels like I've just woken up. So I'm going with good morning this morning.
Good morning and good afternoon. Savasana, it sounds like a wonderful place. Is it become far for that? Is it which part of the world is Savasana in?
I love that question, and I have come very far because I went to like beautiful meditative places, but Shavasana is actually, it's a posture, it's a yoga posture. And it comes from the word, so Sava actually means corpse, and Asana is pose, so it's corpse pose. And essentially what we do in Shavasana is we rest. We go into full relaxation, full rest pose. And the idea is that, you know, we go on a beautiful journey of yoga, and then we want to integrate that. So we lie down, you're supposed to multiply. So say you've been doing yoga for 30 minutes, then you should do 5 minutes of Shavasana. If you've been going for an hour, you should do 10 minutes of Shavasana, etc., etc. So it's a moment of rest.
Aha.
Aha.
Great. So, yes, rest I do know about a lot of.
Awesome.
Yes.
And we are going to talk about rest today. This is the theme of the day. And it feels quite an important theme, both because we've just had the full moon last night, that epic full moon and eclipse, and also because we're moving into winter and a time when the body might feel more tired. So I think it's an important thing to be speaking about in these times.
That's good. So with resting, there's quite a lot that goes on in the body, isn't there?
For sure, big time. It's interesting, isn't it, how we think that resting is just resting, but actually there's so much that our bodies are doing at the time of rest, and that our bodies don't have the opportunity to do, you know, when we're busy on our working day. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about the things that happen whilst in rest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully when we're actually, I mean, there's a difference between sleeping and actively resting, obviously, because we're more awake. We talk about restorative sleep, and that's really, really important. But, you know, it's also very important to have rest throughout the day as well, because in our other talks about what is stress, and plenty of the other talks in our Tiny Talk series, we've talked about these things, and the interrelationship between heightening your nervous system is good, and so is rest, but you need that balance, or at least to, you know, balance it out throughout the day as well. So actively resting just allows the two parts of our nervous system to start balancing out. So in the autonomic nervous system, it's a process of constantly working out whether we need to be more alert or more going into resting mode, because when we're alert, that helps us to keep awake and get going and doing things, and whole different bodily functions kick in, hormones for that process, and then there's hormones for releasing neurotransmitters for releasing relaxation into the body. And so when we can actually grab hold of that and switch ourselves down. And how do we do that? By A, the breath, and B, just stopping and listening and just dropping our muscles. So when we relax our muscles, it's an active process of resting. So
and for those who are maybe like me and might be like, what are all those big words? What do all those big words mean? I'm just gonna break it down into yoga terms as well. So I like to think of it as homeostasis, as, you know, just like plants, just like nature, we kind of need to come back to this state of wellness, this state of relaxed. And if we're always up on our high, up on our stress mode, the body can't heal, actually we don't function properly, and we end up, all sorts of things happen within the body. But for example, we age faster. There's just one tiny example. And so what we're doing in these times of rest is we're coming back to that state of homeostasis, that state of relaxation. There's my layman's version, Rory.
Yes, yeah, of course. So, and of course, all of that again is accumulative. So, it's okay to keep going for a day or so, but it's that whole process of, if we feel like we're going, when do we have that time to rest? And obviously, Savasana is one of those processes that we can do that with. And then, so yeah, the mind, breath, and body link we've talked about before. You can grab hold of your breath, slow it down. That can help slow your mind down. It can relax your body. Or you can just focus on relaxing the body. That can help relax the mind. And then naturally your breath might start to slow down too, or become lighter. So they're all interlinked, and you could pick one of those and it helps the other, because they all speed up each other to get stuff done, or to get stuff done in relaxation. So there's the on and off is the typical term, for getting stuff done or switching down. But it's not that simple or polarized as such. But that's what we want to get the idea across, that obviously resting is active resting is important to help our digestion and other processes that we don't need when we're on the go.
And I'm just thinking of, like, a lot of our viewers are often people who work, people with quite full-on jobs. And I just want to say to those people that I used to think of it as on and off, and actually being off was boring because I didn't want to be still. I'd love to be busy, I love to be doing stuff. But we can also be in that state and still be taking action. So Rory's not saying it's choose one or the other. We're explaining why it's important to also have rest, but also that you can still be an active person, creating amazing things, doing amazing things, and you don't always have to be doing that on that stress mode. You can actually be doing it on this, what I call homeostasis, this state of relaxation.
Yes. And should we talk a bit more about the anatomy and physiology of that?
Yes, please.
I'll try, obviously, as simple as possible, but it often comes down to what there's been a lot of studies about the vagus nerve of recent, and how that relates to healthy function of the body and regulating health on going along in the background. So the vagus nerve is one of the cranial nerves, which comes out of the brain and head and comes down, and for ages they couldn't work out what it was necessary for at all, because it seemed to be just quite vague and going everywhere. But the whole point is it's listening.
I love that.
A lot of the time.
Vagus nerve.
Vagueness nerve, yeah.
I would love soon to do a talk on vagus nerve, because I think it's so fascinating, so important.
Yeah. Well, I can go a little bit into that right now as well, but we can definitely go into that even deeper later. So the vagus nerve helps to regulate the resting and digesting functions of the body by listening and then feeding back to the brain to help it to make sense of what's going on in the body. So it does shut down when we have adrenaline and cortisol spikes going on in the body when we're dealing with demands or stress or modern life. And so
is that connected to fight, flight, freeze?
It is, yes. Oh. Yes.
Could you explain a little bit more about that?
We've talked about that before in another talk as well, but it's great to remind again. So there's often when we go into a stress response, it's about fighting. You jump into either fighting for it, or typically there's even studies about people that suddenly get stressed. They either go to get it out the way by going towards it, or they run away from it. or they just stop and not know what to do. And so yeah, fight, flight, and freeze. Yes. And yeah, so this all of these natural processes of getting stuff, you know, done and being on point, and adrenaline rushes, they're all great, but again, accumulation could potentially be shutting down the slower, more subtle processes going on in the body, such as digestion. The muscles that help to get food down quickly could shut off when we're stressed. So actually, food actually takes longer to go down through the body, and not as quick.
Do my explain from the yoga perspective again. If you think about, back in the day when maybe we had to run away from a lion. Can't say it's happened to me yet in my life, but way back, that we're not going to, the things that your body need to do are run. Your body doesn't need to worry so much about digestion or about those things. So we're still, essentially, the body is behaving in the way that it needed to back in the way to run away from the lion, but with a very different situation, which might be like your deadline for your evaluation, or your running for the next bus. Slightly different.
Yeah.
Back to you, Rory. Please continue with your magic.
So yes, the relaxative processes also help reproduction functions, in the gauging and regulation of inflammation in the body. There's very, very current studies on this, not realizing before that potentially if that goes out of whack, or what they call vagus nerve tone, which means that when it's stimulated, it gets stronger, and that helps with these processes. If it weakens a lot over the time, then we potentially can't regulate our inflammatory processes and our immune system function, which is, again, why it's really important to start looking at these stress factors in chronic conditions, especially if they're known to be related by chronic inflammation. So there's the psychological aspect of it all, where if we are constantly heightened and the vagus nerve tone is weakened, we could potentially not be able to regulate our stress hormones as much, and so we can get things like anxiety and depression creeping in, and then often that's then starts to affect our sleep cycles, and if our sleep cycles get broken, then it's again like a sort of big turning wheel falling down a hill, and we have to sort of consciously grab it and start to at least stop it from rolling back down the hill again so much. It's okay for it to be, we want it to be doing that, in a valley, going like this, not just falling down a hill and carrying on. So that's my analogy of that, is that we want to sort of keep it swinging from left, not left to right, but on and off again.
I guess what you're saying is yoga is good. Hi Daisy, it's movement, by the way. That we really want to, even if, so going back to saying a lot of the people who listen to us are really quite active people, and they love to be active. But if you can find those systems that might have physicality to them, or that might have quite a lot of action to them, but that can help your body to de-stress, to come back to homeostasis, to come into relaxation and rest, then you're also meaning that you can have a longer life doing everything that you love and being an active person. Yes,
essentially, yoga is the practice of heightening our vagus nerve tone and keeping ourselves relaxed and balanced. It's what it was always there for, to help that process along, help the body stay in balance. And Qigong basically came on after yoga, and that is all about tranquility, meditation, and noticing our body's energy flow, which could be seen as blood flow and or breath, because they talk about qi being like air as well, and the energy of the air coming to everywhere in the body. And then of course there's practices like osteopathy, which looks at this as a whole, which again, if someone's really stuck, yoga is great, but it might not be something that someone's ready for because it's got too out of hand. And so you want some expert advice on getting back on track to be able to do that too. So yoga is really essential. It's the self practice, and osteopathy is a sort of expert hands-on approach, and obviously I'm developing a hands-off approach to help with those and reach people a bit further afield as well than just being able to do the hands-on. So they're all essential things really. Hands-on help, hands-off help, and our own self-help.
Yes, I'm thinking about Rory's amazing demonstration that looked like a pendulum swinging, and then thinking about yoga. So I've been doing a lot of research this week on yoga and its origins, and it actually comes from Egypt, from Kemet, and the practice in Kemet was really about finding balance in the body, and yoga means union. So I'm just thinking about this pendulum swing that we are recognizing that this is very common. You know, we as human beings we tend to kind of move in these polarities, in these opposites. But what we're doing with yoga and with practices like osteo is we're finding the balance, we're coming to the center, we're coming to our pole of the body, or Shushmana as it is called in yoga.
Great stuff. A couple of more technical details on what the effects of rest and what they noticed with the vagus nerve is that there's bodily functions such as heart rate variability, which is basically how it helps to regulate our heartbeat when we go up and down in stress or running, and then calming back down again. For instance, running away from something, getting heightened, blood pressure has to go up to get stuff around quickly, and then we need to calm down to be able to get the blood to all the areas and drain it at night when we sleep. So they're the two ideas on the two extremes of our functionalities to get stuff done in life. And then there's also the interestingness about the whole serotonin pathways, where a lot of serotonin is our happy hormone that keeps us feeling safe and connected and happy, and that all gets created in the gut. And they've just started doing research on studies about how that potentially is sensed, and serotonin travels from the gut via the vagus nerve up to the brain or back down again. Yeah, that's the stuff that they're still trying to work out how that works. But basically, the vagus nerve helps us stay happy as well.
If you would like to know more about that, please post in the comments so we can get that talk to you soon. Personally, I think that would be super interesting to understand that brain-gut connection. Thanks, Rory.
No worries.
Awesome. I would like to link it back to Savasana and the benefits of Savasana, because we're going to do some today, right? And have a little bit of an experience, a Savasana experience. And connecting back to what Rory said, these are some of the things that Savasana can do for you. So it will calm your central nervous system. It will help the digestive system and the immune system. Awesome things, right? It calms the mind and therefore also reduces stress. And linking back to calming the mind, often, especially for those people we were talking about, the busy ones I definitely relate to that kind of lifestyle, that often we don't have an opportunity to just stop and let the mind kind of make sense of things. And we're busy thinking rather than allowing the comprehension to happen and the subconscious to make sense of things. So having this time to allow the body to stop, to allow the mind to stop, it's almost like I'm thinking of that film Inside Out and how like the memories are getting stored away. You know, it's like you're just giving the body an opportunity and the brain an opportunity to do its work. It reduces headaches, it reduces fatigue, it reduces anxiety, helps lower blood pressure. I feel like Rory wants to add something there.
To finish your list.
I think that's pretty much.
Okay, great.
List. Yeah.
Okay. All I was going to say was you said about memory, and that's a really good point. We will definitely have to do another talk on the vagus nerve. There's some more recent studies on that. To talk about what it's been known to help with, that they can they can say that you know what it's helping with in terms of health conditions now a bit more. They got an idea of which specific ones it helps with, but also when we do rest, it, like you said about memory and how memory is stored, and they, you know, vagus nerve tone creating relaxation can help us to take the time for our brain to bring memory from the front to the back, which is basically all the working memory, the stuff we need to remember in the moment, and then how that gets stored to long-term memory, are actual memories from the past. So that's very interesting, and sleep helps to bind those memories as well. So again, if we the deeper we go, or the more heightened our vagal turn goes, the more we can store memory and drain and heal and all of this sort of stuff. So deep restorative sleep is obviously very important.
Melody, I'm trying to answer your question. Melody asked, how do you spell vagus nerve? And my phone is autocorrecting me every single time, so it's done the same as you, Vegas, and it's done vegans.
It's Vegas. Vegas.
Yes.
Oh no! It's VAG. VAGUS.
Let's try it one more time.
Vegas. Sorry, you're talking to probably one definitely classified dyslexic, and the other one most likely.
Yay! I wanted to say one more thing before we do Savasana, which is we haven't talked about it yet, but we will be soon, about TRE, trauma release. It's a beautiful. Actually, it all connects again to the vagus nerve and so on. It's a beautiful way of getting us back out of our state of trauma, that state that we're talking about, the fight or flight mode, that kind of way the cortisol is pumping around the body, and into a state of relaxation. And I do it quite regularly. And it was really interesting for me when I realised that actually this was happening to me when I was in Savasana. Very often my body will go into very similar tremors to my body does in TRE. And I spoke to my yoga teacher and at the time, and they said that actually what's going on is your body is coming back out of its state of stress mode and coming back into relaxation. And because you're so used to doing TRE, which is a system of triggering the psoas muscle to allow tremors to move through the body, because I'm so used to doing it, that started to happen in my yoga practice as well, as a way of my body really coming back to homeostasis, back to relax. So just wanted to share.
A mini win for the nervous system. Yay!
Woo, woo, woo. Speaking of which, let's do some.
Are you going to help me relax now, Ella?
I'm going to help you relax. And I invite you all, if you are watching or if you're catching up and you have a yoga mat or just a comfortable space to lie down, I invite you to join us. So I'm going to move back there too.
What shall I do?
I'm going to talk you through it all, but yeah,
okay.
Just sitting on your mat, and then you think you're already sitting, aren't you? And then I'll talk you through it. Just going to unplug my headphones.
Okay.
I'm going to stay sitting actually, just so I can take you on this journey. I invite you to come onto your mats and sit down first, and then lie yourselves down. And when you lie yourselves down, I invite you to just allow the body to kind of fully open up. So think of your palms facing up to the ceiling, allow the hips to kind of rotate out slightly, maybe the feet will fall out to the sides. And just allow your breath to slow. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And we're just going to go on a little journey of observation through the body, from the feet up to the head. And I invite you, as you go on this journey of just scanning through the body and just observing, starting with the toes, to just smile at each body part. So smiling at the toes, smiling at the feet, smiling at the ankles. And noticing as you send the love, as you send your healing energy to those body parts, just notice if there's any tension there, if you're holding, if you're gripping, and see if you can just allow those body parts to relax, to release. And then moving up into the shins, the calves, the knees, smiling at your knees, sending love to your knees. And then moving up to the thighs and the pelvic area. Noticing if you are gripping in the butt, in the buttocks. And just seeing if you can find relaxation, if you can allow the body to be held on your mat, lying down in a comfortable space. Then coming up to the torso, up to the digestive system, up to the back. And again, just scanning through the body, noticing if there's any tension, and inviting relaxation, smiling at each body part, sending healing energy to each body part. And then coming to the shoulders, the arms, the fingers, just allowing them to fully relax, to fully be held on the mat where you are laying. And then coming up to the back of the neck, the jaw, the eyes, the brow. And if you are holding any tension, invite these places to let that tension release. Smile at your jaw, smile at your smile, smile at your eyes. And then finally, bringing your focus and your attention to the brain. See if you can allow the brain to relax. And then to your first eye, your brow center. We call it the first eye because they say it was the first eye created in the womb, in utero. Just bringing your focus. Just bringing your focus here. I think I paused for a moment. All you need to do is relax and rest. And now as your focus is at your first eye, your arms, your body are relaxed. Just allow the breath to slow. Let the thoughts go. And just be held by your mat, by the Great Mother. And just focus on deep, relaxing breath and sending this healing breath around the body. And then bring your attention back into the space, back into your body on the mat. And just lightly moving your fingers and your toes. And perhaps you want to take a stretch above the head. Rolling onto your left hand side, perhaps in a little ball. And then once you've rolled onto your left-hand side, making your way up to sitting. And welcome back. I'm not going to say too much because maybe now you don't feel like you need to speak.
Shall I stop smiling yet?
No.
That was lovely. Great. I had lots of stomach gurgles going on, which is a great sign. That's vagus nerve working.
Yes,
the digestion is starting to work as you just relax. So, woohoo!
Beautiful. As always, it's been a pleasure. I love chatting with you, Rory. I love getting to hear the scientific side and then trying to make it, on my side, trying to make it the spiritual or the just making sense of it in my not so scientific brain side. It's always a pleasure and a joy. Thank you.
For sure. I've one quick note actually. One quick note. One last thing is the Qigong is actually the basics of Qigong is just a standing meditation. It's basically a standing Shavasana. So if you don't have space to lie down in the middle of the day, or it's dirty, or it's in an office or something, Qigong is a way to just jump straight into Shavasana without having to lie down on the floor. So bear that in mind, that it's a great technique to learn as the basis.
It would be lovely to experience that with you at some point soon.
Yes, for sure.
And if you agree, feel free to make a note in the comments. Let's bring Qigong to our tiny talks.
For sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you as always. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to Melody for your wonderful question, and we will see you all soon.
Brilliant. Catch us all on the internet. You can find us Business Yoga and Rory LemonAid, AID. All the best. Let's make it better.
Love you. Let's make things well. Bye.